everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist again. I just started the video a few minutes ago and didn't even have my microphone on, so it just looked like me going with no sound. I totally thrashed and rearranged my craft studio today. My sewing machine is here, and I had to just do a lot of rearranging. My camera's in a different spot, and yeah, so I just completely forgot about the headset. But I did want to continue on with the Make Your Own Junk Journal series, and the third step in the process involves the sewing machine, so I wanted to try to bring it over here so I could show you what I'm doing. The first step, I'll put the links down below, but the first step was how I usually make my covers first and decide what kind of theme I'm going to have. The covers right now, in this whole series, I'm using a kit that's available in my shop. I only have a few left, but you can use your own supplies. So, but I'm just taking you through my process. So first I usually make my covers. Notice they're not attached and I haven't finished decorating them yet. The second thing I do is I coffee stain some paper. And so that was the third video. The make your own covers video, for some reason YouTube split it in half. So there's two videos there. Then the third video is how I quickly and easily coffee stain my own paper, and I love the way it turns out with the technique that I use, and it's really fast. I don't have a lot of room. I don't enjoy doing this, so I don't do the long drawn out method of dipping each piece of paper and then baking it in the oven and all of that. That comes out beautiful too, but I show you a really quick 5-minute way to get these papers. So I'm all set up, and I would love if you all say hi, because I never know who's on. Let me get my other glasses here. These are my close-up glasses. These are my trifocals for everything else. Trifocals. I have such a hard time crafting if I don't have the right glasses. So hi everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm all ready to go. I have my tea. You know that I love my tea. So I've got that. Iced tea today because it's going to be hot. I've got my sewing machine here. I've got a bowl of cherries to snack. And I have little Lily. Little Lily here. Hey, hi. Look, I woke her up from a nap. She's like, hey, I was perfectly comfortable right there. Isn't she adorable? We adopted her. And she is just as sweet as she looks most of the time. So, anyway, I'm ready to go. That's my system. I usually have her right here behind me. I have to keep her on the chair behind me, or sometimes I get some barking. Let me see what else. The supplies I'm going to be using today. So the coffee stained paper that I showed in the previous video. I have a variety of fabric trim. Now this is a great idea. My mother gave me these. If you've been following along, you know that she's living next door. We have a duplex and she's living next door now, which is super fun. And but before she moved here, she had some old tablecloths that, I mean not tablecloths, placemats, fabric placemats, excuse me, that were too stained to keep. So she cut off all the trim, and look, I mean these are beautiful. So you can get things anywhere. Junk journals, that's the fun of them. They don't have to be expensive. So I have a variety of different trims. I also have some that I cut myself that was in my stash. And I have some other ribbon I have some wide and some more thin. You can use anything. I have some paper doilies that will be sewing into pages. I have a couple of quilting squares. I get these really cheap at a store nearby, and so I like to use these. And I have some washi tape, and then just some other bits and pieces. So my sewing machine is up really high because I have a standing workstation because I don't like to sit all day. And so it's up really high and it's at a funny angle. Oh, and I think I knocked the camera. So it's at a funny angle. So it's going to be a little awkward for me, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay, I'm going to switch the view, and which requires the other glasses. Oh. Okay, so here we go. I did bump this. Let me get this back where I had it. Okay. So it's going to be a little wonky, but we can make this work. There, we've got some light. Okay. So the first thing that I usually do is just get my supplies together, because what I do is I sew in the way a quilter does, where I just keep everything going out the back. I don't cut off my thread until I'm done. It just seems to work quicker that way for me. So I have all of my supplies to the left of me, and actually the sewing machine pedal isn't even all the way on the floor. We'll see. This is a Brother sewing machine that I just bought recently. It was on sale at Walmart for like 80 bucks, and I really like it. I'm not a strong sewer. I'll tell you a story. I did a project in 7th grade in high school. I sewed this little sundress. It took me all semester. Sewed this little sundress, and it had a cute little jacket, and I was so proud of it, and I really enjoyed it. It was in home ec, which I don't even know if they have home ec anymore. I hope they do. But I went to get it at the end of the day, and somebody had stolen it. Isn't that sad? Somebody had stolen it, and so I just said, that's it. I don't like sewing. Which is, you know, something a 7th grader would say. But so anyway, the long and short of it is I really haven't done much sewing. Now, my mom is a really good sewer. She's living next door now, and so I thought I would get a newer sewing machine, and I'm going to have Mom teach me how to sew for real on fabric. But sewing on paper is just really simple, and I find it to be lots of fun. Let me try to get this light so it's not so glaring. I don't know. So in other words, even if you're a beginner, give this a try, because I'm not a good sewer and I have a lot of fun with it. Just a couple of things. I'm not going to go through each detail of this machine because everybody's is different, but I do have white thread on the top and brown in my bobbin because I like having one color on one side and another color on the other side. I like that. You can do whatever you want. When you're sewing on paper, the other important thing is the size of your needle. It's usually good to have like a size 16 needle. Try not to put too much adhesive on your paper or it's going to gunk everything up. And try to have your setting on wider stitches. If your stitches are too close together, it's not as forgiving as fabric, and you're just going to get a big tear. Okay? So I think the first thing I'm going to do is sew on some of these little remnants that I have. I think these were old window sashes that I got at the thrift store. And I just kind of line it up, and I'm going to do I'm just going to do a straight stitch. let's see, and go really wide so the stitches are wide apart. And message me if you have any questions. I'm going to look up occasionally. Hello to everybody. I hope you're having a nice Saturday. It's kind of a little bit of an overcast day here today in Maine. So normally on Saturday my husband and I will do a bike ride or a hike or something, and then I'll come craft, but I don't feel guilty about being in the room all day when it's going to be overcast and rainy. So I just kind of hold it and go right along. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Problem right away. My thread came out. Okay, let me just quickly rethread this. Where's the end of it? I thought I was hanging on to the thread. You see, I told you I'm a beginner. Okay. Got too much thread now. Okay. And luckily, this machine has a self-threader on it, because I cannot, with my eyes, I cannot see the needle. Oops, forgot how to do it for a second there. Doesn't always work on the first try though. Let's see. Oh, the needle's not in the right spot. There we go. It never goes through the first time because I can't see good enough. There's a little doohickey under here. There we go, where you're supposed to put the thread, and I can't see it. All right. There we go. Let's try that again. Sorry about that. Oops, let me set this back to the stitch I want. Okay. Yes, I'm in a very awkward position, so sorry for the fumble fingers here. Ah, what's happening? Figures, now I'm having all sorts of problems. What did I do? Oh, that wasn't even on the paper. Sorry, this angle is really throwing me off. I promise I'll get it. Third time's a charm. Here we go. Cut all these danglies off. All right, let's try this one more time. Make sure I'm on the paper. Okay. Come here. There we go. Okay, then I just keep going and get my second piece. And this is another piece of trim from a curtain sash, I think. I don't really know because I got a whole bag of these at Goodwill. But it's pretty. I like it. Whoopsie! The pedal is half hanging off the floor because I have this stand-up desk. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, let's get another one. I think I'm going to try a little bit of this on this one. This is just lace ribbon. And I just measure. I usually like to have a little bit hanging off the top and the bottom. I don't measure it exact. And I like to put it so that a little bit is hanging off the edge of the paper. You can do it completely flush to the edge if you want, but I like a little bit hanging off because once you get your journal together, it looks really nice having that sticking out. Change the setting here. Okay. You can go as slow or as fast as you want. There we go. And I'm going to do one more with this, I think. Some people do secure their edges by going back and forth at the end of each sheet of paper. I don't really feel like I need to do that. I normally don't. I just do this and cut, and there we go. So now I've just got a whole big thing of sheets, and I'll just trim them off. So there's one. I'll just cut them and then I'll show them to you. There. Okay. So we've got 4 of these. Whoops, sorry, bumped the camera. 4 of these, and the light's not really good. And I'll show you what the inside looks like. See, this is why I like to use brown in the bobbin, because then you've got this nice sewn edge on when you open it up. So there's one thing that you can do. I usually prepare maybe about at least 6 of these with trim on the edge. Then sometimes what I like to do is just take a paper doily. I have to do a little bit of this off camera because of this setup, sorry. I'll show you in a second. I like to just take a paper doily and fold it over the edge of the paper and then sew down here, and this, you can decorate this and it makes a nice little tuck spot. So I'll do that. Just going to show you a variety of things that you can do. Oops, my needle's not threaded again. Let's see. So I just wanted to thank you all for the support of the purchase of the kit. I was able to get about 10 more from the part of the kit is from Canvas Corp. It involves these architectures, rub-ons, and some other things, canvas, and a beautiful burlap flower, and I was able to get 10 more. Glitter mist too, all kinds of things you don't normally see in kits. And so I was able to get 10 more, but that's it. But it's inspired me to make another kit soon, because there was such a great response on this one, and I really appreciate it. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to have a lot of fun decorating it. Sorry, it's so glaring. I can't get the light really good for you all. This is kind of the best I can do with my setup here. It's either glaring or shadowy. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's just sew this doily on. I'm going to go right off, and I think I'll do one more. Let's see. When you're doing these too, make sure you don't put just everything on the first page. Obviously, you could fold it in half like this, but you want to think about, you want to have some things be on the inside page too. So I'm going to put this one here, and I think I'm going to try a zigzag stitch. Let's do a nice zigzag. That'll be fun. And then with these quilting squares, sometimes I fold them like this and sew them, and they make a really cool tuck spot because it's just a piece of fabric that opens. I think for this one, this particular one, let me do it off camera and then I'll show you. For this particular one, I folded it like a triangle, and I'm just going to sew. So that way we have two tuck spots, one on the inside and one on the outside. And I'm going to continue on with this zigzag stitch. I'm kind of liking it. Okay. And then how about if we take some washi tape, if you have a favorite washi tape, and put it down the edge of the paper, Again, I'm going to have to do this off camera because of my situation here with the sewing machine, but let me do that. Okay, so I've got some washi tape on the edge here, and I'm just going to do straight sew down the front. And you know what? I think I'm going to put some on the inside too, because it's going to be the brown on the inside, and that will look really nice. Okay, so I've got some on the outside, and I put some on the inside. And I'm going to stick with the zigzag, I think. Okay. Then this is going to be a little more tricky with this weird angle that I'm at, but I have a Sizzix Sidekick, I think it's called. It's a little tiny die cut machine, and it has these little buttons that I cut this morning out of scrap paper. And so what if I thought, well, I can take these and lay them out and kind of put them all down the side like this, and then sew them on. So I'm going to give that a try. I am going to, I think, put just a little bit of my ATG gun adhesive on the back of these, just a tiny bit, to help keep them on. Let's see if there's some way I can get on camera. Well, maybe I can push this away for a sec. Okay. And I inked the edges of these already. And let's see, what do you think? Do we want zigzag, or do we want to just go straight down through? Probably straight down would be the easiest, so I don't miss any. It might zig when it needs to zag. And it might miss a button. Okay. Get on there. There we go. Okay, so I've got all my little buttons just taped on there. You could do this with anything. If you have any kind of a little punch, you could do it with hearts. It would be really pretty with butterflies. If you could manage to sew down the center of the butterflies, then the wings could be up. That would be really nice. So I'm just going to sew down through these in a messy kind of way. Move this back. Whoops, I left it on zigzag. That's okay. I think it'll work. Oh, I'm really going to like that. Now, along the same lines, I have some little scraps of things. I have a piece of paper doily. I have a little bit of thread. I have some handmade paper that I'm just going to take a piece of it. I have some pretty piece of scrap paper here that I'm going to tear like that and ink the edges. And I'm going to glue them down the edge just like I did with the buttons. Move the sewing machine back again and kind of tape these on just a little bit. Just a little dab, enough to hold them in place. Oops, I'm still off camera. Sorry, guys. And then a little piece of the doily with that string on it. Another piece of this. Piece of this handmade paper. I don't know what you call this, handmade paper. Forget the name of it. Linen paper, maybe? Gotta put that on there. Isn't that the fun of junk journals, that they can be kind of messy? So there, I just taped all these little scraps on there. And let's sew them down. I guess I'll keep it on zigzag. Whoops, I missed the doily. And the string. There. Let's pull these off and cut them apart. And now perhaps I can move the sewing machine a little farther out of the way. Whoops, I'm caught. There. I'm really enjoying making this series. I hope you guys are enjoying watching it. I love to teach. I like to leave some of the strings dangling off the edge. Okay, so let me show them to you. Here's the doily one, and the inside with the brown. And in one of the videos, we'll decorate these doilies and we'll make tuck spots. So this is just the preliminary sewing phase. Okay, so we have two of these. One I did on the outside, and this one I did on the inside, the doily. Here's the quilting square that I did at an angle. Again, this will make a really nice tuck spot. This is the washi tape one. Came out really nice. This one, I love the way the buttons turned out. Do you guys like that? Isn't that fun? Wish I could get the lighting better. Oh, there. That's a real fun one. And on the inside, you just have some nice white and brown zigzag because I used the different color thread. And then this one is just scraps. And I love the way this one turned out too. Now if you like, you can take these two ends and you can tie them into a knot if you're concerned about it coming off. It depends on how much use your journal's going to get as to whether or not you want to tie off your ends. But where are the, oh, here they are. And then we did these. So already we've got some really nice pages started. Oh, you know the last thing we can do while we're here, also, let me fold another piece of paper. In the next video, well, I don't know if it's going to be the next video, but coming up soon, we're going to do more sewing. I should probably do it today so I don't have to tear up my room again. But we're going to do more sewing, and we're going to do some pockets and things like that together to stick in the journal. But another thing that I'd like to do is just take a smaller piece of the trim. Do I want this one? Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to show you this too. Alright, I have two more things I want to show you. Okay, so sometimes I like to take this bigger trim and either sew it up the middle like this, or sew it to the side of the page so that you have a beautiful tuck spot on the inside. This is a ribbon that I got from Walmart, and it's really pretty, really vintagey looking, with it's lace with an actual white ribbon woven through it. So I'm going to cut a piece of this off, and let's sew this on while I've got the sewing machine here. So I'm going to do that, and then the other thing I was going to show you is if you take a little, you can take little pieces. Let me get another sheet of coffee dyed paper here. There we go. Oh, these papers came out gorgeous. I wish you could see, it's just too glaring. So take a little piece like this and then sew it across the top, and you can have little tabs sticking out of the top of your book. So let's do these two things. New subscriber, Margie Llewellyn. Thank you, Margie. That way you won't miss any of this series. Because I don't have the kind of life that I can do things on a certain day. Like, I can't say every Saturday I'm going to do this. Plus, I don't do well with schedules. Knowing that I have to do something on a certain day, I think that would take the joy out of it for me a little bit. So I'm just kind of doing announcements on Facebook. If you go over to my Scrapologist page on Facebook, I usually announce that I'm going to go live. And that would be the best way to not miss it. I think we're going back to a straight stitch. Yeah, I'm going to use a straight stitch here. And where'd my petal go? Whoa! It's really funny standing up and sewing. Okay, and then lost my little thingy dingy. Here it is. This one. Let's turn the paper this way and sew across the top. I'm going to just kind of, let me pull that a little bit, just kind of stick this under there. Oops. My needle is still down. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh. Almost got my finger there. I'm going to go backwards over this one because I didn't quite get it good. Okay. There we go. Okay, so there's two more. Move this. So this, I really love this technique. So you open it up and look how pretty. You've got a tuck spot here, And we'll decorate this a little more. And then you've got very messy sewing on the other side, but I like that. It's okay. And then, oh, I didn't do this right. Yeah, I'm just at a kind of a funny angle for doing this, but for some reason it didn't sew down the back side. I'll fix this later off camera, but that's another idea for you. Okay, so you can have tabs off the top. So there we go. So if you're following along, let me switch the camera view again. Move the sewing machine out of my way. Okay, hi. So if you're following along in this series, I would advise you to go through and do whatever sewing like this that you want to do on as many pages as you want. The journal is going to have about 30 pages in it. If you're using the kit, there is some other kinds of papers in there that you can use to supplement. It doesn't all have to be coffee stained papers. I gave you 6 coffee stained and some scrapbook paper. You can sew on the scrapbook paper too. Actually, I should have done that. Yeah, let me see. I should have done that. Here's my kit. Yeah, so in the kit you get a bunch of these papers. If you didn't order the kit, cut these down to 8.5 by 11 and then fold them in half. If you want to make the same exact journal, the same size and everything that what I'm making, and you can sew on this paper too. This is a beautiful one. Look, I think I need to. Real pretty. It looks like it's got lace all over it. So, so try to get between the scrapbook papers and the coffee or tea stain papers, try to have almost 30 sheets if you want 3 signatures with 10 pieces of paper in each sheet, if you're following along. And so if you go through and do this technique when we get to decorating, which is going to be one of the videos coming up, then you'll be, you won't be behind. So I have 9 or 10, maybe even 8, I don't know. I don't know how many I've sold as of this morning. Just a few more of these kits left. This is only one part of it, but I show the kit in another video. And especially if you're new, it's really fun to start with the kit. And then you can just use that as a template and take it from there. Speaking of templates, I mentioned this in the other video, that once I start actually decorating these pages, I am going to provide everybody with a Word document or some kind of a document. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it yet. That's a template of what we did that day, so that you'll have a whole book of templates that you can use when you go to make another junk journal. You can just kind of flip through your book and look at the different styles that we did to remind you. So I'm kind of gifting that to you as part of this free course. So I hope you enjoy that. And if there's anything else you think you'd like to see, let me know. So come here, Lily. Let's wake her up again. So Sleepy Dog and I say goodbye. And thank you for subscribing. And hit like down below. And have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Bye.